Good morning. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Ryan. Jack cannot join us today, so it's going to be us. So let's do a little warm up. Let's do the first section of the form a few times. I'll do the first one. Catherine can do the second one. Ryan can do the third one. Jill can do the fourth one. And Catherine. Catherine, say something so the camera goes on you.
Bonsoir, hello, לילה טוב, no, ערב טוב.
and ran.
Okay, we'll see if there are some interruptions here.
And Jill.
Okay.
Okay. Can you all see this?
Yes.
It's too bad it's not the beautiful red that it was a few minutes ago, but I want you all to take your invisible bow and arrows. I take your invisible bow and arrows, and I want you to hit this target. Hit the bullseye. Yes, go Catherine. Shoot. Yes. Excellent. Jill. Oh, all right. Kevin. And Rand not only has an invisible bow and arrow, Rand himself is invisible while he's doing this, right? Okay, now I want you to do it again, okay? I want you to hit the bullseye. Okay, hit it. No, you don't even know where it is. All right. In fact, all right, hit the bullseye now. How do you hit the bullseye when you can't see it?
You imagine where it is.
Well, that's exactly right. The difference between imagining that you see it and actually seeing it, right, is the difference between guessing what the shin yi of a move is and knowing what the shin yi of a move is. And it takes some time, a long time, to go from kind of imagining to truly understanding. But part of what we're going to do in this phase, this advanced phase of your training, is to try and lock some of that stuff in. The reason that we're doing the yin and yang cycles is not for the sake of the yin and yang cycles. It's for the sake of the bullseye. Because every one of those yin and yang cycles has a bullseye. All right? You tell me where the bullseye is. Where was the bullseye? Straight down. All right?
Yeah.
Right there. Same as the first one. For many of these yin and yang cycles, it's going to be really obvious what the bullseye is. For many of them, not for all of them. All right? Every one of those has a bullseye. If you don't know what the bullseye is, then what you're doing is kind of faking it.
It's what?
Now, is faking it. Faking,
Oh.
faking.
Yeah.
You're faking it. Now, there's an ancient Chinese phrase that goes, fake it until you make it. All right? That's the only thing you can do, is what everybody does. All right? Is you fake it until you can make it, until you kind of figure it out. And it doesn't take weeks, it takes years to figure all this stuff out. Because just this little beginning form is Kevin and I kind of counted them up. Kevin, how many yin and yang cycles did we come up with?
I think I've got a pretty accurate count up to move 10, and that's 77.
So 77, so figure 100, maybe 200 yin and yang cycles, 200 bullseyes, and you have to understand each one of them. And there's a difference between understanding up here and understanding in here. All right, so this just takes everybody a long time. It took me forever. All right. The joy in it is once you get it, then you're not faking it anymore. You're not faking it anymore, Jill. When you get it, you're not faking it anymore. You've really got it. All right. And then the next step is when you understand the yin and yang cycle and you understand what the bullseye is, and you have to understand something else too. You have to understand how to wind up, because winding up is different for every yin and yang cycle, because the angles are a little different. You know, the degrees and the angles and how you're standing, everything's a little different every time. But you know, you can get those, right? So when you've got the yin and yang cycles, you've got the wind up, you've got the target, right? Then you can get the chi path, the silk reeling chi path. And when you have the chi path, you have the golden thread. That's what Tai Chi is. All right? From the beginning of the form to the end of the form, there is one thread. It never stops. It never breaks. You could just you just follow that thread. And that's what makes it so wonderful to do. But it's not easy to get from here to here. Now, you guys, whether you know it or not, are actually halfway along the path. All right? Whether you finish the path depends on you, of course. The truth is, very, very, very few people ever finish the path. For a lot of reasons. The biggest reason is life has so many obligations, so many distractions, so many things you have to do: job, school, family, relationship, on and on and on and on. There's never enough time.
You got to make time.
You got to make time. Yeah, Kevin.
Would you guys find it useful, and I'm not sure when we would do it, but I can come up to Battleground, and Malcolm can demonstrate all these things on me if you think it would be useful.
I think it'd be wonderful. I'd love to demonstrate them on you, Kevin.
Yeah, I've been there.
I'd come up to Battleground for a demonstration.
Well, now you guys are talking about doing a retreat, which would be a lot of fun. It would be really great to do it.
Well,
Because when you are together in the body, something happens that just cannot happen over video. I mean, I think we're doing pretty good with this video thing, all things considered. Nevertheless, it's great. It's great to be live with each other, and also to have me do things to you. So this move. What is that move? If I demonstrated that to you, you would understand what that move is. You have to do it very, very lightly. Oh, so it's not going to hurt you or anything. But what you would feel is how your body will get locked up and will have to move. I've got your hand here. All right. I'm coming behind your body right above your elbow. And then I'm going to shift my weight and turn my waist and sink in the quad. And you will move. You can plant your feet, you can get as sturdy as you possibly want to get. You will move. And then I'll have you do it to me. Over and over and over again until something clicks. And you go, oh, okay, oh, I felt it. Because you're going to try it. You're going to try it and try it and try it. It won't work, it won't work, it won't work, and then suddenly it'll work. All right? Suddenly you'll get the right angle, you'll get the right energy, something will happen. And you won't have it locked down, but you had a taste of it. And then you keep working on it and working on it and working on it, and then you will get it. And when you get one, you will start to get the others, because they're all very closely related. They're not like, you know, totally different species. They're all in the same family, so to speak. That would be fun. I'd love to do that. However, we're not on a retreat right now. We're on this goofy Zoom thing. So what I'm trying to sketch out is where we're going with this. We're not doing the yin and yang cycles for the sake of the yin and yang cycles. It's a step. And the next, once you get the yin and yang cycles, then you determine where the point to wind up is and where the bullseye is. So that gives you the beginning and the end. All right? And once you've got that, then you can start working on the internals. Okay, I have to go from here to here. I'll just try it. You just try it. Just try to do that. That's what the silk reeling exercises are for. Is just to try to go from winding up to hitting. Wind up to hit. Wind up to hit. Wind up to hit. All right? And once you start to get that, then you pay attention not just to the starting point and the ending point, but to your whole body. And what is the chi path? It's always going to start in the mind. This is the top part of the mind. This is the bottom part of the mind. They're the same thing. It's just a big ball. All right? So when I say it starts in the mind, I also mean it starts here. All right? It starts here, and then where does it go? Oh, it's going to go down, in this case, it's going to go down to that foot. Why is it going to go down to that foot? It always goes down to one of the feet. Because you've got to ground yourself. All right? We're not weightless in space. We're going to use gravity. So if I'm doing a move like this, watch what happens. I'm going down to the bottom of that foot. And now I'm coming up from that in a big whole body spiral. All right? So that's the chi path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In a sense, that's a very mechanical way to talk about it. When you turn this stuff into words, it's no longer organic. It becomes kind of mechanical. But I don't know what else you can do. I have not arrived at the stage yet when I can just go like that and stuff, and you just immediately understand. I've got to put it in words. Yeah, Kevin.
It's like the word grounding. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people think you're just standing there, and if you can figure out what grounding means, then this starts making sense because all of a sudden it feels like, oh, this is what you're trying to do. It feels completely different from standing there.
That's right. Maybe what you should imagine, and this is what Kevin's pointing out, is the problem with words. It doesn't matter what language you speak, although some languages are a little better, a little more poetic, right? It's really, to explain this, you have to use poetry because it's not really in the words, it's in between the words. You have to look past the words, right? When you're grounding, what it means is boom. It means you're using the ground. Yes, your mind, your intention, and your chi is going into the ground, and then it's going to bounce back. It really does bounce back. It's not something you're making up. It really bounces back. So think of the ground. I mean, I'm standing on cement. You're standing on whatever you're standing on. But think of that surface as being a trampoline. When you ground yourself, it means you're bouncing on the trampoline, among other things. All right? It can be a very slow bounce. So yes, Kevin's right. It's not like just static, standing on the ground. It's dynamic. And it's not just your foot that touches the ground. Your ankle touches the ground, your knee touches the ground, your quad touches the ground, your whole spine touches the ground, and then it grows back up out of the ground. That's what gives you power. The power comes out of the ground. So in Chinese, you've heard this before, but the Chinese say, your power comes out of your legs. What they mean is it comes out of the ground. It's poetry. All right? It's directed by the waist. It's expressed in the hands. Well, it isn't always expressed in the hands. Sometimes it's expressed in the elbow. Sometimes it's expressed in the shoulder. Sometimes it's expressed in the knee. All right? But when they say it's expressed in the hands, what they mean is, you understand, it's poetry. What's important is that thread, that single thread. Jill, do you ever do any sewing, any seamstress work?
Yes.
Yes, and Catherine, I'll bet you do too, and I'll bet you do in bookmaking too. Imagine that you had a thread and you were working with it, and every time you did something, it broke. Break. Oh, I got to rethread it, do it again. Break. It wouldn't be very satisfactory craft, would it? It'd be really annoying. It's the same with Tai Chi. How do you thread through the form without breaking the thread? You have to understand the Qi pathway. Right? So your movements and the movement of the chi are exactly harmonized. Okay, the first move. I'm going to do this at a little bit of an angle. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 places where you wind up and 4 places, 4 bullseyes where you hit. But in between each of those is a transition. The transitions are really, really important. Imagine you were sewing something, and between each stitch, you just sort of did this herky-jerky movement. That's what would break the thread. Jerk, thread's broken. Oh no, I gotta redo it. I'll do it again, jerk. All right? No, it has to be smooth. All right? There's the target, hit it, right? And again, and again, and again. There's a transition between each yin and yang cycle. And the transition's different for every transition. It's slightly different. That's where a lot of your artistry can come in. It comes in lots of other places too, but it can come in there because how you do the transition determines a lot about your vibe, right? Your speed, right? Watch. Here's the wrong way. It looks awful and it feels awful. Watch, I'm going to come up closer to the camera. Call out the transitions. Transition. Here's the target. Here's the transition. Right? I'm going from here to here, but I don't just go down and then go up again. Right? I go down and then relax. Just relax. And when you relax, the chi in your body goes down. Goes down to your down shin, goes down all the way to the ground. Right? Relax, relax, relax. And now it comes up again in pung. Pung in the wrist. 1. Transition. 2. Transition. 3. Transition. 4. So,
Malcolm,
yeah, Ren, yeah.
I feel like a lot of times the transition is also winding up. So like like they happen kind of at the same time. So it's like when you transition, it's also like gaining the energy for the next move.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Whenever you put this explanation into words, the words are not adequate to the motion. It's like the Zen master who points at the moon and then he whacks his student because he says, "You're looking at my finger, look at the moon." Right? The words don't matter. What matters is the motion. And Rand's absolutely right. The transitions are not just completely, utterly neutral. They're the beginning of relaxing and winding up, and then boom. Now, so here, I've hit the target. You can, and people do, just stop there. But imagine, this is what I always think of. Imagine you're down at Ocean Beach in San Francisco. Ocean Beach is a long, shelving beach, shallow beach. And, you know, when sometimes you get some fairly decent waves down there, the waves break and they come in on the beach. Well, they don't, you know, come up 10 feet and then stop. They just keep coming. And they come until they're done coming up. And as they come up, they slow down, they slow down, they slow down. And then there's this almost imperceptible place where they begin to go back out again into the ocean. That's what the transition should be like, for me. You hit, and you just keep coming, and you keep coming, and you keep coming until you're done coming. And then it begins to roll back into the ocean. What happens when you're paying attention to that stuff is you're telling a story. If you're clear about your story, the audience, the people that are watching you, are going to see the story. They may not understand all the technical stuff about this, but they will see and understand it. Something in them will respond to it. You're telling them a story without words. I've told you, I'm going to tell you another story. Back in the day, we did a retreat at a place up in the Sierras, and our group was there, and a group from Master Zhang's of old students was there too. And so the first night, we did this form for each other. The Master Zhang's old students did the form for us, so we sat and watched, and we did the form for them, and they sat and watched. Master Zhang's students were led by Kat Kroll. Kat was probably in her mid-80s then, so she was no spring chicken. And she's not, you know, she's not wildly athletic like a 22-year-old gymnast. She's very quiet. But when she was done and we applauded and everybody broke up, some of my students came up to me and they didn't ask about the younger students. They asked, who was that older woman? She was so beautiful. People see and respond to your artistry. And that's what all this work is for, is to discover your own artistry in here. Okay, guys, any questions? Any comments? All right, practice this first move, practice the second move. And tomorrow we'll go on and do the yin and yang cycles in the second move. So practice it a few times this afternoon and establish for yourself what you think the yin and yang cycles are. Because ultimately that's what you're going to have to do. It's not about memorizing what I think they are. It's going to be deciding for yourself what you think they are. Okay, guys, have yourselves a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.
So I'll go practice on Ocean Beach. See if-
Okay, excellent. That's an excellent idea. See you guys.